Welcome to my YouTube channel Dreams Learning Zone. कक्षा 11 पढ्ने भाइ बहिनीहरुलाई मेरो यस YouTube च्यानलमा स्वागत छ। आज म कक्षा 11 का भाइ बहिनीहरुको लागि Compulsory English को सेक्सन 2 लिटरेचर सेक्सन को यो युनिट 1 को शॉर्ट स्टोरीज को द सेल्फिश जायन्ट भन्ने जुन स्टोरी छ त्यसको बारेमा एक्सप्लेन गर्न गइरहेको छु। यो हाम्रो सेक्सन 2 लिटरेचर मा हामीले शॉर्ट स्टोरीज, पोएम्स, एसेज र वन एक्ट प्लेजहरु पढ्नु पर्छ। त्यसमध्येमा सबभन्दा फर्स्ट युनिट 1 मा शॉर्ट स्टोरीजहरु छ। यो शॉर्ट स्टोरीजहरुको बारेमा यसको सबभन्दा फर्स्ट स्टोरी द सेल्फिश जायन्ट को बारेमा भाइ बहिनीहरुलाई केही कुराहरु शेयर गर्न आइरहेको छु। हाम्रो स्टोरी को टाइटल छ द सेल्फिश जायन्ट। द सेल्फिश जायन्ट यहाँ हामीले के बुझ्नु पर्छ भने टाइटल हेर्दाखेरि स्टोरी को टाइटल के छ भने सेल्फिश जायन्ट। सो दिस स्टोरी इज अबाउट अ जायन्ट, ओके, इट्स अ जायन्ट। सो जायन्ट मीन्स like a monster or it's a mythical person or mythical being like human, but they are big, such kind of characters or such kind of thing, what creature. It's very big and they have superpower. They are strong. Okay, so we are going to read a story about the giant, and this is giant, and the adjective for this giant is selfish. So we are going to read about the giant, a story about the giant, but his characteristics, or he is a very selfish type of giant. So what do you mean by selfish? Selfish means so one who thinks about his own profit. आफ्नो प्रॉफिट, आफ्नो फाइदाको लागि मात्रै सोच्ने, अरूको फाइदा अरूलाई राम्रो नगर्ने खालको त्यस्तो किसिमको स्वार्थी टाइपको जायन्ट छ। त्यो जायन्ट को बारेमा एउटा शॉर्ट स्टोरी छ। त्यो स्टोरी म एक्सप्लेन गर्न गइरहेको छु। अब यो स्टोरी को राइटर को भन्दाखेरि ओस्कार वाइल्ड। ओस्कार वाइल्ड जसलाई हामी उसको फुल नेम छ OSCAR फिन्गल FINGAL, ओस्कार फिन्गल फ्ल्याहर्टाई FLAHERTIE, फ्ल्याहर्टाई विल्स वाइल्ड WILDE। सो लङ नेम चाहिँ नि यो ओस्कार फिन्गल फ्ल्याहर्टाई विल्स वाइल्ड, जसलाई हामी सर्ट फर्ममा ओस्कार वाइल्ड को रूपमा चिन्छौं। ओके, हामीलाई तल राइटर को बारेमा सर्ट बायोग्राफी दिएको छ। त्यसको भन्दा अगाडि हामीले यहाँ केही क्वेशनहरु दिएको छ। बिफोर रिडिङ भनेर केही हामीलाई क्वेशनहरु दिएको छ, हेरौं। Look at this picture. Is it a real man or mythical human? So this picture, it looks like a human being in form of human. Form of a human. It looks like a human, but this is big in size. This person, this character, it's very huge in size, and it does not look like a normal human being. Look at his experience, his dress up. Okay, so all of these things show that this is not like a real man, but it is a mythical human. So mythical means it's what do you know about a mythical? It means belonging to a particular religion or culture or folk tale tradition. Okay, so we can't say that this is a real man. Okay, so real men, they look like us, and the picture though it is in the form of a human being, but it's not like a real man. It's a mythical human. Okay, and is it good to be selfish? Now we are going to read the story about selfishness. Okay, the giant is very much selfish. So when we read the story, when we come at the end of the story, so we know that to be selfish is not good. It's not good. If you are selfish, you lose your happiness. There is no happiness, there is no pleasure in your life if you are selfish, if you think about yourself. तिमी आफ्नो बारेमा त सोच्छौ, अरूको बारेमा सोच्दैनौ, अरूको फाइदाको लागि हेर्दैनौ, आफ्नो मात्रै फाइदा हेर्छौ भने त्यस्तो व्यक्ति कहिले पनि सुखी हुन सक्दैन, राम्रो हुन सक्दैन. So in the very beginning of the story, the giant is not good. So when he gives up his selfishness, then he turns to be a good, okay, a good creature. Children like him, but in the very beginning, children, they don't like him because he shows his selfishness in the beginning of the story. So after reading the story, we come to know that to be a selfish person is not good. How do selfish people behave? So how do selfish people behave? So I already told you, selfish people behave that they do not allow their property, yes, to other to use. Okay, they just think about themselves. They just think about their happiness, their what pleasure, okay, their personal benefit. Okay, they don't think of others. They just want to live. They just want to survive themselves. They just want to get happiness themselves. Okay, so selfish people, I think they are not good, and they don't behave in a well manner, in a good manner. Okay, they are cruel to other creatures. Okay, so I think to be selfish is not good, and to behave in a selfish way is also not good behavior. Okay, so we came to know about this thing after reading the story. Now there is a short biography about Oscar Wilde. So Oscar Wilde, so I already told you the full name of Oscar Wilde. So he is known as Oscar Fingal O Flaherty Wills Wilde. So in short name, we know him as Oscar Wilde. Okay, so let's see the biography of the writer Oscar Wilde. Okay, so Oscar Wilde, he was born in 1894, or the full date of his birth is so he was born on 16 October 1854, and and he died on 30 November 1900. So that is the death date of the writer Oscar Wilde, and he was born in Dublin, Ireland. So he is known as Irish poet and is wit, yes, a scholar, well-known personality, having knowledge in the varieties of fields. Okay, especially in literature. He is also known as poet, novelist, the person who writes novels, and playwright, as a dramatist. So he writes poems, he writes novels, and he also writes dramas. So this is his identity. So he was born of a professional literary parents. So his parents, they are also literary figures. His father, his name is Sir William Wilde, and he was an ear and eye surgeon. Okay, so a person who performs surgery, and especially his area of surgery, they are eyes and ear. So he performs surgery of eye and ear. Who was also published book. He also wrote some books. He was also a writer. Voluntary, it means one who brings drastic or dramatic changes. Okay, so she is a revolutionary poet. And authority, it means she has power, administrative power, and control. So especially she is an authority on Celtic. Okay, Celtic myth. So what do you mean by Celtic myth? So Celtic, it means related to Celtic myth and folklore. So it's a mythology of pre-Christian Ireland. And such kind of tradition, it existed in oral tradition. So it's a time of prehistory age of Iron Age. So it's related to Western Europe. Okay, Western Europe, tradition, belief, custom, and stories. Okay, so it's called Celtic myth and folklore. Okay, and he published a book of poems. He also published a book of poems, and he also lectured in the United States and Canada on the topic of what? English Renaissance. Okay, English Renaissance in art, especially in art. So what do you mean by Renaissance? It's I think this is a French word. Renaissance means a French word, and French, French. It's a French word, and it means rebirth. Okay, rebirth, rebirth, and it's a rebirth, and especially in what? Especially rebirth in arts, science, and European society. After Middle Age पछिको पिरियड हो रिनेसान्स भनेको, जुन चाहिँ नि आर्ट र साइन्स अनि त्यसपछि यो कल्चर ट्रेडिसनमा आएको पुनर्जागरण, यसलाई हामी रिनेसान्स भन्छौँ, जुन चाहिँ नि फ्रेन्च वर्ड हो है. इट्स also transitional movement from medieval period to modern time, and especially in Europe and especially in Italy. Okay, so Italy बाट चाहिँ यो Renaissance movement को सुरुवात भएको थियो, and after the fall of Christianity in Middle Age. Okay, so यो Renaissance, English Renaissance topic मा उले चाहिँ लेक्चरहरु दिने काम गरेका थिए, जस्तै यो अमेरिका, युनाइटेड स्टेट र क्यानाडामा. And interior decoration, so he was also well known, or he also knew about the interior decoration, and then returned to London, where he worked prolifically as journalist. Okay, so he also worked there as a prolific writer, a journalist. Especially journalist means a person who works as a in journalism, works in journalism. Okay, so he is also known for his biting wit. Okay, so biting wit को लागि पनि उके छ, चिर परिचित छ. So he is also known for biting wit, and so he is a journalist also. He is a writer, he is a dramatist, he is playwright, he wrote many plays. He is also novelist, he is also poet, and he is also a journalist also, or especially writes news. Okay, edits news, and produces articles fruitfully, prolifically. So known for his biting wit. So biting wit means is known for harsh criticism also. Harsh criticism, रुखो चाहिँ यो क्रिटिसिजम गर्ने व्यक्तिको रूपमा पनि उनी चिनिन्छन्. जस्तै Wilde became one of the best known personalities of his day, र उनको टाइममा, उनको चाहिँ त्यो पिरियडमा एकदम वेल नोन, बेस्ट नोन, सबभन्दा बढी चिनेको पर्सनालिटिजहरु मध्येमा एक थिए. राम्रो खालको फेमस व्यक्तित्वहरु मध्येमा एक पर्थे ओस्कार वाइल्ड. सो ही इज बेस्ट नोन फर हिज ओन्ली नोभेल, र उसको उनको एउटा मात्रै नोभेल छ, जुन नोभेल चाहिँ एकदम बढी फेमस भएको थियो जसको नाम थियो पिक्चर अफ डोरियन ग्रे which was published in 1891. Okay, so he is famous for this novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and his comic masterpieces. And he is also famous for his comic means it's meant to cause laughter. Okay, MEANT, meant to cause writer laughter, LAUGSTER. so हँसाउनको लागि लेखिएका राइटिङहरु जस्तै कमिक मास्टरपिसको लागि पनि उनी प्रख्यात थिए जसको नाम थियो लेडी विन्डरमेयर्स फ्यान which was published in 1892. So masterpieces भन्नाले के बुझिन्छ भने यस्तै कुनै पनि वर्क अफ आर्ट हो जस्तै म्युजिक लिटरेचर हैन that is regarded as the most important or best work for him है जुन आफ्नो लागि राइटरको लागि चाहिँ एकदम उत्कृष्ट एकदम चाहिँ राइटरको लागि एकदम चाहिँ महत्त्वपूर्ण एकदम मन पर्ने जसलाई हामी म्याग्नम ऑपस पनि भन्छौं जस्तै MAGNUM ऑपस OPUS. So उनको लागि चाहिँ यो लेडी विन्डरमेयर्स फ्यान भनेको चाहिँ एउटा म्याग्नम ऑपस थियो मास्टरपिस थियो. एन्ड अर्को फेमस राइटिङ छ उनको द इम्पोर्टेन्स अफ बीइङ अर्नेस्ट 1895 मा पब्लिश भएको थियो. सो ही वाज स्पोक्सपर्सन्स भनेको जस्तै इलेक्टेड टु elected to speak on behalf of others. अरूको पक्षमा बोल्ने खास गरी स्टेट्स spokesperson. He is also known as the spokesperson during the time of late 19th century को अन्त्यतिरको चाहिँ spokesperson को रूपमा पनि उनलाई चिनिन्थ्यो. And he is also the leader of the aesthetic movement in England which advocated art for art's sake. भनेको अर्को मुभमेन्ट छ उनी चाहिँ उनले फोकस गरेको अर्को मुभमेन्ट छ that is यो late 19th century मा आएको मुभमेन्ट हो. So emphasizing यसले के गर्छ भने it emphasizes the visual or sensual qualities of art and design or over practical, moral or narrative consideration. So art for art's sake भनेको the art needs no justification. It has its own value भन्ने अर्थमा बुझिन्छ. आर्ट्स को आफ्नो छुट्टै भ्यालु हुन्छ. यसलाई चाहिँ कुनै पनि किसिमको जस्टिफिकेशन्सहरु चाहिदैन है. त्यस्तो किसिमको मुभमेन्ट को पनि उको थियो द स्पोक्सपर्सन थियो. अब हाम्रो स्टोरी को टाइटल छ द सेल्फिश जायन्ट. It's a story and selfish it's I already told you it's related to personal PERSONAL profit है. आफ्नो प्रॉफिट को लागि मात्रै सम्बन्ध राख्ने प्रॉफिट और प्लेजर PLEASURE. भनेपछि त्यो जायन्ट चाहिँ कस्तो थियो जायन्ट. सो जायन्ट I already told you जायन्ट means it's imaginary है. So NIMAGINARY imaginary or mythical 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 being of human being in human form मान्छेको रूपमा भएको इमेजिनरी चाहिँ काल्पनिक पात्र है मिथिकल पात्र जसलाई हामी जायन्ट भन्छौं. सो र यसको के हुन्छ ह्याभिङ एक्स्ट्रा अर्डिनरी पावर भएको है इमेजिनरी क्यारेक्टर जसलाई हामी जायन्ट भन्छौं है. यो जायन्ट को बारेमा छ स्टोरी. सेल्फिश छ त्यो जायन्ट अनि इट्स अ सर्ट स्टोरी. छोटो खालको यो सिंगल सिटिङमा सकिने पढेर है केही समयमै पढेर सकिने खालको छोटो स्टोरी छ अनि स्पेशली यो चिल्ड्रेनको लागि हो है. दिस इज द स्टोरी फर चिल्ड्रेन and written by Oscar Wilde. It was first published in the anthology. So anthology, so what do you mean by anthology? It's a collection of literary works. COLLECTION, a collection of literary works लिटरेरी वर्क्स भन्ने जुन कलेक्सन छ लिटरेरी वर्क्सको जुन कलेक्सन छ जसलाई हामी एन्थोलोजी भनेर बुझ्छौँ यसको नाम छ द ह्याप्पी प्रिन्स एन्ड अदर टेल्स यो ह्याप्पी प्रिन्स एन्ड अदर टेल्स भन्ने जुन एन्थोलोजी छ जुन चाहिँ नि विच वाज पब्लिस्ड इन 1888 है त्यो 1888 मा पब्लिस भएको जुन एन्थोलोजी छ त्यसबाट लिएको द सेल्फिस जायन्ट अनि यो जायन्ट यो स्टोरी के को बारेमा छ दिस स्टोरी इज अबाउट अ जायन्टको बारेमा छ अभियसली अनि त्यो जायन्टले के गर्छ एट द लास्ट अफ द स्टोरी ही लर्न्स एन इम्पोर्टेन्ट लेसन अबाउट लभ एन्ड सेयरिङ यस द इम्पोर्टेन्स अफ लभ एन्ड सेयरिङ ही लर्न्स दिस thing at the last of the story and holds different meaning for different people for people of different age यो चाहिँ अब विभिन्न एजका मान्छेहरुको लागि यो स्टोरीको विभिन्न खालको मिनिङहरु छ र यहाँ चाहिँ हामी खास चिल्ड्रेन्स स्टोरीको रूपमा पढेको छौं र यसमा चाहिँ नि के गरेको छ भने यो लभ र शेयरिङ है कति इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ टु गेट ह्याप्पीनेस इन वन्स लाइफ है जिन्दगीमा मान्छेको आफ्नो जिन्दगीमा उसले खुशी प्राप्त गर्न अथवा चाहिँ मरेपछि पनि स्वर्गमा चाहिँ बास हुनको लागि जो लभ अथवा चाहिँ ह्याप्पीनेस के लभ र शेयरिङ कतिको महत्त्वपूर्ण छ भन्ने कुरा यो स्टोरीले देखाएको छ सेल्फिश हुनु राम्रो होइन सेल्फिश हुँदाखेरि यो ह्याप्पीनेस गुम्छ जब मान्छे सेल्फिश हुँदैन जब काइन्ड हुन्छ जब जेनरस हुन्छ तब उसले चाहिँ ह्याप्पीनेस प्राप्त गर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ एउटा एक्जाम्पलको रूपमा यो स्टोरीलाई लिन सकिन्छ यसले यो किसिमको लेसन चाहिँ नि स्टोरीमा हामीलाई टिच गरेको छ I'm going to summarize the story by Oscar Wilde that is the selfish giant okay let's see what happens here in the story it begins every afternoon as they were coming from school now here they means the children they were coming from school the children used to go and play in the giant's garden okay so in the story the giant he has a beautiful garden so having lots of flowers green grass trees very much attractive garden belonging to the giant and in that garden little children after finishing their school they used to go and play there so this garden giant's garden it's a biblical reference to the Garden of Eden okay so now in critical analysis of the story we can find reference the garden to the Garden of Eden where there were the first humans Adam and Eve okay it was a large okay now the description of the garden so the garden was large and lovely garden with soft green grasses okay so the garden is full of green grasses it was very lovely or it is very lovely and the garden is very large in size here and there over the grass stood beautiful flowers like stars okay the flowers they were shining like a star so it's a metaphor comparison between the beautiful flowers with the stars in the sky and as the stars they twinkle at night in the sky same the flowers are shining okay bright flowers okay attractive okay there were 12 pea trees okay so pea trees means is a trees आरुको रुख भन्छ त्यहाँ 12 वटा आरुका रुखहरू थिए त्यो गार्डनमा so there were pea trees and in the springtime broke out into delicate bosoms of pink and pearl okay so the trees okay in those 12 trees during the time of spring there broke out delicate blossoms of pink and pearl and in the autumn bore rich fruit okay so springtime there were flowers okay in those trees and in autumn season they bore rich fruit tasty rich beautiful attractive delicious fruit The birds sat on the trees and sang sweetly. Even there used to come birds, okay, different birds, and they used to sing melodious song there. They used to sit on the branches of the trees, and they used to sing sweetly, okay, and that the children used to stop their games in order to listen to them. So when the birds started singing there, even the playing children, they used to stop their play, and they used to listen to the melodious songs of those birds. And that they say, the children, they used to say, how happy we are here. So it means they are very much, okay, they cried to each other. So they used to talk to each other about the happiness that they got in that garden. So first, the garden, it was so beautiful, so attractive garden, and the beauty of the garden is added by the melodious songs of those birds. They used to come there. So one day, now what happens there, one day the giant came back. So the giant was away from that garden, from his castle, for more than 7 years, and he returned back to his own garden, own castle. And when he came there, he had been to, now where he had gone to his friend, the Cornish owls, okay. So he has gone there. So owls, okay. So owls means, what is this? So especially in children's stories, we hear some characters, okay, who used to eat children, okay. So very much brutish type of giant, or monster type of giant, that Oz was the Cornish Oz was the friend of this giant in this story. And he is very much terrifying, frightening type of character, Cornish Oz, and had stayed with him for 7 years. He spent there 7 years. He spent 7 years of time at his friend's house. After 7 years were over, he had said all that he had to say, for his conversations was limited, and he determined, okay, so after 7 years of stay, he wanted to return back his own castle. So what do you mean by castle? So castle means it's a large, strong, okay, a large and strong building, okay, built for the special people such as king. And there is a wall, okay, and it's strong. The castle, or the building, is very much strong, as to protect the insider from the outsider, or outsiders attack, okay. So there was a castle close to that garden, and he returned back to that castle after 7 years, okay. Now when he came there, he saw the little children playing there, okay. So as soon as he saw them, what he said, what are you doing here? So he scolded, what are you doing here? तिमीहरु यहाँ के गर्दैछौ? So he cried in a very gruff voice, okay, hoarse, it's a Creole voice. The giant, as he was a selfish type of creature, and he did not like others trespass into his garden, so he scolded them, he cried to them, and the children ran away. When they saw the giant coming in that garden, then the children, they ran away, because he was terrifying, he was very cruel type of creature. And my own garden is my own garden. So the selfishness of this giant, so it is his own garden, and he does not like others entering into that garden and playing without his permission. So what he said, said the giant, and anyone can understand that, and I will allow nobody to play in it but myself. So he's selfish type of creature or the character, and he does not like other children, other people entering into that garden, playing and getting pleasure in that garden. So he cried to them, to the children. So he built. So after seeing the children playing there, coming in that garden, playing there, so to protect the beautiful garden from the entering of those children, he made a high wall around it. Okay, so he surrounded the garden with a high wall, and he also put up a notice board also. So he also set a notice board there in that garden. So what he wrote, so that this is the notice. Okay, so this is the notice, NOTIC, notice board the giant put in his garden. Okay, and what is written there? 3 parsers will be prosecuted. So 3 parsers means those who enter. Okay, those who enter into somebody's land without permission. So notice board is there, and what he said, those who 3 parsers will be prosecuted means 3 parsers means people or children or somebody who enters into someone's estate or property or land without permission and will be prosecuted. So when he finds someone entering into his garden without his permission, so he punish them. Okay, he gives punishment to them. So he was very selfish. So it is already said the giant is selfish, because the title of the story itself is the selfish giant. So he was very selfish. The poor children had now nowhere to play. Now the children did not find any beautiful place near to play except the garden, the beautiful garden of the giant. So they were very sad. They tried to play on the road. So when they were deprived of entering into that garden, they tried to play on the road ma khelna ta khoje त्यो गार्डनमा छिर्न नदिएपछि, but the road was dusty and full of hard stone. So the road was not as beautiful as the garden. So it was very dusty. There was dust, and there were full of hard stones. Hard stones were there, and it was not pleasing to play on the road. Okay, the road ma खेल्नको लागि त्यति राम्रो थिएन, एकदम ढुङ्गाहरू भएको, धुलोहरू उड्ने त्यस्तो किसिमको रोडमा उनले खेल्न कोसिस गरे. So and they did not like it. तर वास्तवमा यो मन पर्ने कम्पेयर गर्दाखेरि the garden जहाँ उनीहरू खेलिरहेका थिए त्यो गार्डन भन्दा चाहिँ यो रोड चाहिँ खास गरी कम्पेरेबल थिएन, एकदम नराम्रो थियो, खेल्न हुने खालको थिएन. They used to wander. अब wander means to walk around slowly without any clear purpose. So PURPOSELESS, purposeless walk around. Okay, so they did not find anything. Okay, so they were wandering. So they did not know what to do. They could not play on the road, so they were wandering around the high wall. Okay, the wall ko वरिपरि उनीहरु घुमे, भित्र छिर्न सकेनन्, wall लगाएको थियो. And their lessons were over and talk about beautiful garden inside. र त्यो beautiful garden को बारेमा they talked about that garden. So the garden, it was a very beautiful place and it could provide a lot of happiness to them. So they said to each other, हामीहरु त्यहाँ भित्र एकदम खुशी थियौं, हामीले चाहिँ त्यो गार्डनमा खेल्न पाउने बेलासम्म हामी एकदम खुशी थियौं भनेर उनीहरु चाहिँ त्यो पहिलाको कुराहरु गर्न थाले साथीहरुसँग एकअर्कासँग. जस्तै देन द स्प्रिङ, अब स्प्रिङ आयो, अब त्यो सिजन सकेर स्प्रिङ सिजन आयो. तर के भयो, अल ओभर द कन्ट्री देयर वेयर लिटल ब्लजम्स एन्ड लिटल बर्ड्स. ओके, अल ओभर द कन्ट्री भनेको कन्ट्री देशभरि जुन जायन्ट जुन देशमा बस्थ्यो त्यो देशको सबै भागमा स्प्रिङ सिजन चाहिँ देखा पर्न थाल्यो. भने मतलब फुलहरू फुल्न थाले हैन, रमाइलो चराहरूको गीतहरू गुन्जिन थाल्यो. तर what happened there in the garden of the selfish giant. Okay, so the garden of the selfish giant को चाहिँ जुन गार्डन छ त्यहाँ चाहिँ अझै पनि के थियो, विन्टर नै बसिरहेको थियो. त्यो विन्टर ओभर भएको थिएन स्टिल देयर वाज विन्टर नो स्प्रिङ सिजन केम देयर इन्टु द गार्डन अफ द जायन्ट द बर्ड्स even the birds did not care to sing so they stopped singing there they did not come in that garden because it was cold it was surrounded by winter season however there is a spring season outside the garden or outside the territory of the giant okay as as there were no children and because the reason that is the reason why is there still winter in that garden because there were no children the children are outside of the garden that is why there is still winter in that garden no spring season त्यहाँ स्प्रिङ सिजन नआउनुको मुख्य कारण के हो त जुन त्यो जायन्टलाई थाहा थिएन त्यो चरा के अरे त्यो बच्चाहरू चाहिँ नि त्यो गार्डन भित्र नभएको भएर चाहिँ त्यो गार्डनमा स्टिल क्या थियो विन्टर सिजन थियो एन्ड द ट्रिज फरगट टु ब्लोजम अनि रुखहरू पनि फुल्न छाडेका थिए त्यहाँ रुखमा कुनै फुलहरू फुलेका थिएनन् once a beautiful actually once a beautiful flower put its head okay out from the grass एउटा फ्लावरले राम्रो किसिमको चाहिँ सुन्दर फ्लावरले आफ्नो टाउको यसो घाँसबाट निकालेर के हेरेको थियो बट when it saw the notice the giantले राखेको नोटिस छ नि त्यो नोटिस देख्ने बित्तिकै as soon as it saw the notice it was so sorry for the children that it slipped back into the ground फेरि त्यो ग्राउन्ड भित्र छिर्यो माथि त्यो फुल्न चाहेन त्यो फुल चाहिँ नि बाहिर निस्किन चाहेन किनभने त्यो देख्ने बित्तिकै उसले नोटिस देख्यो त्यो सेल्फिश जायन्टको नोटिस देख्यो सो एन्ड वेन्ट अफ टु स्लिप है सो ओन्ली द पिपल हु वेयर प्लिज्ड वेयर द स्नो अब only the people so personification of the snow frost है त्यहाँ भएको चीजहरु मध्येमा खुशी को थियो त स्नो थियो because there is still winter है यहाँ विन्टर भएको बेला खुशी को हुन्छ नि त विन्टरमा स्नो खुशी हुन्छ त्यस्तै गरी फ्रोस्ट तुषारोहरु खुशी हुन्छ है so the snow the frost they were very much happy in that garden because their lovely season winter was still there spring has forgotten this garden they cried so we will live here all the year round okay अब हामी सधैं यहाँ बस्ने भयौं हामी सधैं स्नोहरु सधैं फ्रोस्टहरु यहाँ भइरहन बसिरहन पायौं भनेर उनीहरु खुशी भयो किन त त्यो गार्डनमा विन्टर सिजन चाहिँ छाएको थियो स्प्रिङ सिजन आएको थिएन सो यहाँ चाहिँ के गरेको छ नि पर्सनिफाई गरेको छ फ्रोस्ट र स्नोलाई ह्युमन क्वालिटी पर्सनिफिकेसन भन्छ यसलाई PERSONIFICATION नन ह्युमन बीइङलाई ह्युमन क्वालिटीहरु दिने जस्तै यहाँ के गरेको छ खुशी खुशी हुने काम कसको ह्युमनको ह्याप्पी हुने काम ह्युमन को यहाँ चाहिँ यहाँ पिपल भनेको छ यो फ्रोस्ट र स्नोलाई सो इट्स personification so spring has forgotten this garden that cried so we will live here all the year round भन्छन् उनीहरु खुशी भयो यो कुरा भन्दै उनीहरु खुशी भयो The snow covered the grass with a great white cloak okay अब त्यहाँ के ढाकेको थियो त त्यो ग्रास छ नि त्यो जुन हरियो ग्रासहरु थियो त्यो ग्रास माथि के थियो त स्नो चाहिँ नि स्नोले त्यो ग्रासहरुलाई कभर गरिरहेको थियो यो क्लोक भनेको क्लोथिङ है सो यो कभरिङ COVERING कभरिङ टु समथिङ यहाँ कभर केले गरेको थियो त त्यो ग्रासलाई त्यो ब्युटिफुल ग्रासलाई स्नोले कभर गरेको थियो त्यस्तै गरी एन्ड द फ्रोस्ट पेन्टेड अल द ट्रीज सिल्भर हुन्छ त्यो रुखहरु सबैतिर चाहिँ नि यो तुषारोहरु परेको थियो फ्रोस्ट पेन्टेड भन्छ यो फ्रोस्टले ढाकेका थिए त्यो ट्रीजहरु है सिल्भर कलर देखिने भने मतलब त्यो फ्रोस्ट व्हाइट कलरको हुन्छ सिल्भर कलरको हुन्छ अनि त्यो सबै रुखहरु चाहिँ नि दे लुक लाइक silver colored okay so then they invited the अब अर्कोलाई फेरि के गरे नर्थ विन्ड लाई बोलाए है so north wind लाई तिनीले बोलाए to stay with them because who are happy especially in winter season not the north wind the snow the frost so such things are happy during the winter season yes it's a time of it's a season of them okay and he came he was wrapped in furs okay so he was wrapped in furs and he rode all day about the garden so garden ma road means चिच्याउनु अथवा त्यो हावाको साउन्ड हावाको आवाज चाहिँ नि गुन्जिन्थ्यो त्यो चिसो हावा विन्टर विन्ड अथवा नर्थ विन्ड चाहिँ नि त्यो गार्डनमा गुन्जिरहेको थियो त्यस्तै गरी अबाउट एन्ड ब्लू द चिम्नी पर्स डाउन चिम्नीहरुमा चाहिँ त्यो एकदम चिसो भएर चिम्नीबाट राम्रो किसिमको चिम्नीमा जुन किसिमको हुनुपर्ने त्यो भइरहेको थिएन त्यो पटहरु डाउन थिए and it is delightful spot and he said we must अब यो delightful spot यसको यस्तोको लागि delightful कसलाई हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि यो खास गरी यो north wind लाई frost लाई snow लाई इनलाई हुन्छ so we must ask the hail अब अर्कोलाई बोलाउन कोसिस गरे hail असिना so hail they also called hail यसलाई हामी असिना भन्छौं नेपालीमा असिना okay hail on visit so the hail came every day for 3 hours he rattled on the roof बर्सियो त्यो जुन हाम्रो जायन्ट छ त्यो जायन्ट को जुन क्यासल को रूफमा असिनाहरु बर्सिन्थे प्रत्येक 3 घण्टासम्म दिनको है त्यसपछि अफ द क्यासल टिल ही ब्रोक मोस्ट अफ द स्लेट्स एन्ड त्यो क्यासलमा छापिएका द स्लेटहरु हुन्छ टाइलहरु भन्छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ फुटाउँथे फुट्ने गरी पानी पर्थ्यो असिना पर्थ्यो एन्ड देन ran round and round the garden as fast as he could okay and he was dressed in grey and his breath was ice okay so who enjoyed except of the children inside that garden such things such as snow, frost, north wind, hail, they enjoyed in the garden. Okay. I cannot understand why the spring is so late in coming. अब त्यो जायन्टलाई उसको गार्डनमा मात्र स्प्रिङ सिजन किन आएन त्यो रमाइलो सिजन किन आएन भनेर उलाई थाहा भएन he is unknown so he does not know he is himself the reason for the winter season in his long lasting winter season in his garden so he said to himself he asked or he thought of reason okay why could be why is still winter in his garden okay said the selfish giant as he sat at the window and looked out at his cold white garden okay the garden is very cold it is white because of what snow because of frost okay and I hope there will be a change in the weather अब मौसममा केही परिवर्तन आएको हुनुपर्छ भनेर यसरी उले मन बुझाएर बस्यो तर उसको गार्डनमा कुनै पनि किसिमको हर्ष उल्लास खुशियाली छाएको थिएन स्प्रिङ सिजन भनेको ह्याप्पीनेस आएको थिएन त्यो स्टिल त्यहाँ कोल्डनेस थियो है नरमाइलो कुराले चाहिँ त्यहाँ बास जरो गाडिरहेको थियो जस्तै विन्टर सिजनले जस्तै but the spring never came nor the summer the autumn gave golden fruit to every garden अरु गार्डनमा चाहिँ autumn season आएर फूलहरु फलहरु फल्न थालिसकेका थिए है so autumn okay so in other gardens there is autumn season but in the garden of the giant there is still winter season okay other gardens the trees the fruit trees in the other gardens they gave golden fruit to every garden but to the giant's gardens he gave none okay he is too selfish okay she said and now and so it was always winter there so the reason this is the reason but the giant does not know why is there still winter season in his garden but the reason is his selfishness okay so reason 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 for winter season in his garden okay and dance about through the trees one morning the giant was lying what happened there one morning the giant was lying awake in bed bedma sutiरहेको थियो when he heard some lovely music एउटा म्युजिक सुन्यो उले he heard a lovely music it sounded so sweet to his ears that he thought it must be the king's musicians passing by भनेको त्यो किङ को संगीतकारहरु संगीत बजाउने चाहिँ म्युजिशियन्सहरु चाहिँ त्यो उसको क्यासलको त्यो गार्डनको बाटो भएर कतै गइरहेको हो कि भन्ने उले सोच्यो उले मिठो किसिमको मेलोडियस किसिमको साउन्ड सुन्यो जुन उले लामो समयदेखि सुनिरहेको थिएन he was unable to listen the melodious music because of the long lasting winter season in his garden no birds came in his garden they did not sing in his garden that is why he was unable to listen music okay the music or birds singing in his garden but one morning he heard a melodious sound of music and it was really one but in fact what was that it was not the music from the king's musicians okay so it was a little linnet singing so it's a kind of bird a small brown bird brown and red bird brown red and gray okay bird it's a name of bird, bird, bird. Especially this kind of bird is found in Europe, Africa and Asia. So the bird is in brown, gray and red color. Okay, so the bird was singing outside the window, but it was so long since he had heard a bird sing in his garden that it seemed to him to be the most beautiful music in the world. संसारका सबभन्दा सर्वोत्कृष्ट म्युजिक लाग्यो होला, किनभने लामो समयदेखि उले चाहिँ आफ्नो गार्डनमा म्युजिक त्यो कुनै संगीत उले सुन्न पाएको थिएन. Then the hail stopped, है. Then the hail stopped dancing over his head. अब त्यो हेल असिना पनि पर्न छाड्यो. यहाँ मिराकल हुँदै आइरहेको छ, चमत्कार हुँदै आइरहेको छ है. So there is some sort of change in his garden, because what may be the reason? And the north wind ceased, stopped roaring. त्यो north wind पनि बहन छाड्यो त्यहाँ. न त north wind थियो, न त त्यहाँ हेलै थियो. And a delicious perfume came to him through the open casement. एउटा चाहिँ त्यो यो casement a type of window है. यो चाहिँ a type of window. एउटा विन्डोबाट चाहिँ एउटा मिठो किसिमको एकदम सुगन्धित खालको गन्ध परफ्युम उले चाहिँ फिल गर्यो है. केही नयाँ चीजहरु हुँदै थियो त्यो गार्डनमा, जुन किसिमको विन्टर थियो लामो समयदेखि त्यो चाहिँ हटेर केही परिवर्तनहरु, केही चेन्जहरु, केही ह्याप्पीनेसहरु आउन थालेको थियो. सो एन्ड अ डेलिसियस परफ्युम केम टु हिम थ्रू द ओपन केसमेन्ट. I believe the spring has come at last. अब ऊ खुसी भयो, अन्तिममा मेरो गार्डनमा स्प्रिङ सिजन पनि आयो भनेर ऊ खुसी भयो. Said the giant, and he jumped out of the bed and looked out. त्यसपछि बाहिर हेर्यो उले है. Now what did he see? अब उले बाहिर के देख्यो होला त? So can we guess what did he see? What is the reason? What is the reason for the change? The garden ma aeko change ko reason ke hola ta? So can we guess what may be the reason? Okay, let's see what happens here. Okay, he saw a most wonderful sight he has never seen before. Okay, for a long time he saw a wonderful, miraculous, yes, strange sight. Sight means seen. Okay, through a little hole. Okay, there was a little small hole. Yes, small hole in the wall. The children had crept in. Okay, some children had came inside the garden through a little hole on the wall. Okay, they were sitting in the branches of the tree. Let's see, that is the cause of the happiness, written back of the happiness in that garden, because the children entered into the garden again through a hole. In every tree that he could see, there was a little child. Okay, the children, they were playing, okay, in those trees, and the trees were so glad. Okay, there is no more, okay, frost, okay, no snow, no hail, okay, and winter is over there, and spring season is there, and there is happiness. And to have the children back again, that they had covered themselves with blossoms. Okay, and they were waving their arms gently above the children's head. Okay. Every tree was also happy there in that garden. Yes, the trees, they were also playing with those children. Okay, they became very much happy when they saw the children coming back again in that garden. Okay, the birds were flying about. Even some birds came there, and they start twittering, and with delight they started singing there. And the flowers were looking up through the green grasses. Grassharuma चाहिँ the flowers हरु देखिन थाले. They were very happy, they were smiling, they were laughing, they were smiling. Okay, trees were happy because all the things in that garden, they were happy because they got the children back, source of happiness to them. It was a lovely scene. Okay, so after having the children in that garden after a long time, so the scene, it could be seen very lovely. Okay, only in one corner it was still winter, but there is change. Okay, still in a corner, corner of the garden. So garden, there is still a corner in that garden where there is still winter season. There is no more spring season in that part of that in that part of the garden. Okay, it was the farthest corner of the garden, and in it What he saw a little boy. Okay, there is a little boy standing, okay, in that corner. Okay, he was so small, the boy was so small, and he could not reach up to the branches of the tree. So he was trying to reach up to the branches of the tree. त्यो रुखको हाँगाहरुमा उ चढ्न खोजिरहेको थियो, त्यो हाँगामा पुग्न खोजिरहेको थियो, तर सकिरहेको थिएन किनकि त्यो बोय सानो थियो. So very little in height. Okay. So HEIGST, height ma chha ni kam khalko ke sano khalko. So and he was wandering all around it, crying bitterly. So he was not happy because he was unable to climb up the tree, and the tree was also trying to get the reach of that boy. The poor tree was still quite covered with frost and snow. Still the tree is covered with frost, snow, and there is still north wind, because still there is winter season, because the boy was unable to climb up to that tree and was blowing and roaring about it. Climb up, little boy, said the tree. Tree le भन्दै थियो, चढ माथि चढ, मेरो ब्रान्चहरुमा आऊ भन्दै थियो. And it bent its branches down, र bent अब ब्रान्चहरु पनि तल बेन्ट गर्यो, उले तल बङ्गायो, जति सक्छ तलतिर बङ्गायो, ताकि त्यो बच्चा चाहिँ त्यो रुखको ब्रान्चमा चढ्न सकोस् भनेर. तर it was unable, it was impossible to that boy, because he was very small, very short. Okay. And the giant's heart melted as he looked out. अब त्यो दृश्य, त्यो बच्चा, त्यो बोय चाहिँ नि रुखमा चढ्न नपाएको दृश्य देखेर त्यो जायन्टको हार्ट चाहिँ मेल्टेड भयो, उसको हार्ट पग्लियो, उसलाई उसको मनमा माया जाग्यो, दया लाग्यो. So the giant's heart melted as he looked out. How selfish I. अब अनि रियलाइज गर्न थाल्यो उले, म कति सेल्फिश भएको रहेछु पहिला हो. So he realized his selfishness in the past. He said, now I know why. Now he knew the reason here. Now I know why the spin would not come here. By seeing that event of a boy trying to get reached to the branch of a tree, he learned, he thought, he knew the reason of the winter season in his garden. उसको गार्डनमा भएको विन्टर सिजनको कारण उले बुझ्यो. लामो समयसम्म विन्टर सिजन किन रहिरह्यो भन्दाखेरि बच्चालाई उले खेल्न दिएको थिएन, बच्चालाई उले चाहिँ दुखी बनाएको थियो. So I will put that poor little boy on the top. अब उले के गर्छ, म त्यो बच्चालाई रुखको टपमा राखिदिन्छु भनेर बच्चालाई लिन बच्चा भएको थियो गयो of the tree, and then I will knock down the wall. अब म यो वाल पनि के गर्छु, भत्काउँछु. त्यो वाल भनेको चाहिँ ब्यारियर छ, बच्चा र त्यो गार्डनको बीचको ब्यारियर, त्यसलाई म भत्काइदिन्छु. And my garden shall be the children's playground forever and ever. मेरो गार्डन चाहिँ के हुनेछ, अब बच्चाको लागि खेल्ने चौर हुनेछ. अब म यहाँ कुनै पनि किसिमको प्रकार लगाउँदिन भनेर उले आफ्नो चाहिँ त्यो स्वार्थीपन उले हटायो. So he was really very sorry for what he had done. पास्टमा जे गर्यो उले, जुन गल्ती गर्यो त्यो कुराप्रति उले आफूलाई एकदम सरी फिल गर्यो. So he craved डाउन स्टेयर. अब त्यो दृश्य देखिसकेपछि उ के गर्छ, द डाउन स्टेयर भर्याङबाट तल झर्यो, एन्ड ओपन द फ्रन्ट डोर क्वाइटली, एन्ड बिस्तारै अगाडिको ढोका खोलेर बिस्तारै सफ्टली ही वेन्ट आउट इन्टु द गार्डन. त्यो गार्डनमा गयो जहाँ त्यसले बच्चा देखेको थियो त्यो जायन्टले. एन्ड बट वेन द चिल्ड्रेन स हिम दे वेयर सो फ्राइटन. तर त्यो बच्चा भएको त्यो जाने क्रममा त्यो जायन्टले आफूलाई चेन्ज गरिसकेको थियो, आफ्नो त्यो स्वार्थीपनलाई हटाइसकेको थियो. तैपनि बच्चाहरू चाहिँ के भयो त तर्सिए उसलाई देख्ने बित्तिकै. वेन द चिल्ड्रेन स हिम दे वेयर सो frightened, they were so scared, and all they ran away, and the garden became winter again. Fairy, as soon as the children went away from that garden, so still winter came there, okay, in that garden. So only the little boy did not run. अब त्यहाँ एउटा सानो केटो मात्र भागेन, जुन केटोलाई उले देखेको थियो पहिला त्यो चाहिँ भागेन, सब बच्चाहरू चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट भागे. For his eyes were so full of tears. अनि बच्चाको आँखाभरि आँसु थियो, किनभने त्यो बच्चा रुख चढ्न सकिरहेको थिएन. And he did not see the giant coming. बच्चाले चाहिँ त्यो जायन्ट आएको पनि देखेको थिएन, र त्यो बच्चाहरू अरू बच्चाहरू भागे त्यो जायन्टलाई देखिसकेपछि त्यो गार्डनमा फेरि जायन्टलाई देखेपछि भागे किनभने उनीहरू त्यो एउटा त्यो वालमा भएको एउटा पालबाट चाहिँ छिरेका थिए भने सो द जायन्ट स्टोल अप बिहाइन्ड हिम एन्ड टुक हिम जेन्टली इन हिज ह्यान्ड र अनि जायन्ट चाहिँ बच्चाको नजिक गएर के गर्यो त उसले आफ्नो हातमा लिएर बिस्तारै उठायो एन्ड पुट हिम अप इन द ट्री र ट्रीमा राखिदियो एन्ड द ट्री ब्रोक एट वन्स इन्टु ब्लोजम्स अनि ट्रीमा त्यो ट्रीहरू त्यो जुन ट्रीमा उसले त्यो बच्चा राखिदियो त्यसपछि त्यो ट्रीमा फुलहरू फुल्न थाले एन्ड द बर्ड्स केम चराहरू आउन थाले एन्ड स्याङ अन इट एन्ड द लिटल बोय स्ट्रेच्ड आउट हिज टु आर्म्स एन्ड फ्लङ देम राउन्ड द जायन्ट स्नेक र यसो हात फिजारेर उसले के गर्यो त्यो जायन्टलाई अँगालो मार्यो त्यो जायन्टको घाँटीमा त्यो बच्चाले अँगालो मार्यो एन्ड किस्ड हिम उसलाई चाहिँ माया गर्यो सो एन्ड द अदर चिल्ड्रेन वेन दे स द्याट द जायन्ट वाज नट विकेड एनी लङ्गर अब त्यो जायन्ट चाहिँ पहिलाको जस्तो एकदम त खराब माइन्ड भएको खालको नभएको पाए उनीहरूले जायन्टलाई चेन्ज भएको देखे त्यसपछि उनीहरू फेरि के गरे त कमिङ रनिङ ब्याक एन्ड विथ देम केम द स्प्रिङ फेरि स्प्रिङ सिजन त्यहाँ आयो इट इज योर गार्डन नाउ अब त्यो जायन्टले भन्छ अब इट इज नाउ योर गार्डन नाउ लिटल चिल्ड्रेन सेड द जायन्ट एन्ड हि टुक एन्ड ग्रेट एक्स एन्ड नक डाउन द वाल यसरी उसले के गर्यो त्यो ठुलो बन्चरो लिएर उसले आफ्नो चाहिँ पर्खाल पत्काइदियो है अब त्यहाँ कुनै पनि किसिमको ब्यारियर भएन एन्ड वेन द पिपल वर गोइङ टु मार्केट एट 12 दे फाउन्ड द जायन्ट प्लेइङ अनि अचम्मको दृश्य के देखे त्यहाँका मान्छेले भन्दाखेरि 12 बजीतिर मार्केट जाने क्रममा त्यो बच्चाहरूसँग जायन्ट खेलिरहेको देखे एन्ड विथ द चिल्ड्रेन इन द मोस्ट ब्युटिफुल गार्डन दे ह्याड नेभर सिन यस्तो किसिमको दृश्य उनीहरूले अहिलेसम्म कहिले पनि देखेका थिएनन् जुन देखेर उनीहरू अचम्मित भए अल डे लङ दे प्लेड दिनभरि त्यो बच्चाहरू खेले अल डे लङ दे प्लेड एन्ड इन द इभिनिङ दे केम टु द जायन्ट्स टु बिड हिम गुड बाई दिनभरि खेलेर अनि साँझ पख उसलाई गुड बाई गर्न आउँथे ती बच्चाहरू एन्ड बट वेयर इज यर लिटल कम्प्यानियन अनि त्यसपछि उनीहरूले चाहिँ त्यो उनीहरूसँग एउटा जुन केटो उसले देखेको थियो पहिला त्यो बच्चालाई त्यो जायन्टले देखेको थिएन त्यस कारण सोध्यो तिम्रो साथी कहाँ गयो वेयर इज यर लिटल कम्प्यानियन तिम्रो सानो साथी कहाँ गयो हि सेड द बोय आई पुट इन्टु द ट्री जुन बोयलाई मैले ट्रीमा राखिदिएको थिएँ नि त्यो सानो केटो कहाँ गयो हि आस्क्ड ओके टु द चिल्ड्रेन अदर चिल्ड्रेन एन्ड द जायन्ट लभड हिम द बेस्ट बिकज हि ह्याड किस्ड हिम र जायन्टलाई उसको याद आइरहेको थियो माया लागिरहेको थियो किनभने उसलाई त्यो जायन्टलाई त्यो सानो बच्चाले किस गरेको थियो माया गरेको थियो त्यो माया उसले बिर्सिन सकिरहेको थिएन त्यस कारण बारम्बार त्यो बच्चाहरूलाई सोध्थ्यो है कहाँ छन् त वी डोन्ट नो एन्सर द चिल्ड्रेन हि हेज गन अवे ऊ गइसकेको हुनसक्छ हामीले देखेन मलाई अथवा हामीले चिनेको छैन दे सेड ओके यु मस्ट टेल हिम टु बी स्योर एन्ड कम हियर टुमोरो है अब तिमीले भेट्यो भने हामीले के अरे तिमीले त्यो सानो केटालाई भेट्यो भने भनिदिनु है मैले उसलाई चाहिँ चाहिरहेको छु खोजिरहेको छु होइन भोलि चाहिँ नि लिएर आउनु है भनेर भन्छ सो द जायन्ट सेड द जायन्ट बट द चिल्ड्रेन सेड द्याट दे डिड नट नो वेयर हि लिभड त्यो सानो केटो कहाँ बस्छ भन्ने कुरा हामीलाई थाहा छैन भनेर उनीहरूले जवाफ दिए एन्ड हि ह्याड नेभर सिन हिम बिफोर र योभन्दा अगाडि हामीले देखेका पनि थिएनौँ एन्ड द जायन्ट फेल्ट भेरी स्याड जब उनीहरूले यस्तो कुरा सुनाएपछि जायन्ट स्याड भयो किन उसले अब त्यो बच्चालाई देख्न सकेन एभ्री आफ्टरनुन वेन स्कुल वाज ओभर द चिल्ड्रेन केम एन्ड प्लेड विथ द जायन्ट बट द लिटल बोय हुम द जायन्ट लभड वाज नेभर सिन अगेन त्यो बच्चा कहिले पनि देखेन त्यो जायन्टले जुन बच्चालाई जुन चाहिरहेको थियो जति माया गरिरहेको थियो जति मन पराएको थियो त्यो केटो उसले फेरि पनि पछि भेट्न चाहिरहेको थियो तर भेट्न सकेन द जायन्ट वाज भेरी काइन्ड टु अल द चिल्ड्रेन जायन्ट पुरै चेन्ज भयो र बच्चाहरूप्रति एकदम दयालु भयो एन्ड एट हि लङ्ड फर हिज फर्स्ट लिटल फ्रेन्ड एन्ड अफन स्पोक अफ हिम हाउ आई वुड लाइक टु सी हिम हि युज टु से भन्ने गर्थ्यो मैले उसलाई कसरी भेट्ने होला